Once you've gone through and identified your key points, such as your vertex, your x-intercepts, often there are two of them, and your y-intercept, you can graph these key points to get a pretty good sense of what your parabola looks like. Now, in this case here, we have a few different points we're going to graph. So we have the vertex at positive 1, negative 4. So the vertex is right down here. The x-intercepts are at negative 1 and positive 3. And one hint is that your x-intercepts are always going to evenly split along the line that your vertex is on, because that line is your line of symmetry. And even just to clarify that, I'm going to draw that in real quick. So we have this line of symmetry here. This is where our graph folds in half, and that's always going to fall vertically along the line with your vertex. So then we also have a y-intercept, and that's at negative 3. So get that a little bigger. And then at negative 3 on the y-axis, we have an intercept. So we have another point that we can look at. So if we're going to put these points together, we're going to see this basic pattern emerge where we connect our lines basically like this. You'll notice that the graph grows very quickly, that around the bottom it's pretty gradual, and then it speeds up. It goes over 1 and up 1, and then from there it goes over 1 and now it goes up 3. And the next time it'll actually go over 1 and up 5 and over 1 and up 7. So it's going up steeper and steeper as you go. So it should be a U shape that gets steeper on each side as you go along. You also notice that along this line of symmetry, both sides are roughly the same, and that's what it should always end up like. I'll just clear this line out to see what that looks like. But it should always fold neatly in half. So that's graphing in a nutshell. The other thing you can always do is build a table, an XY table. And by putting values in an XY table, you can make sure that this graph that seems right truly is. And so if you take your different values of x, ideally those near the vertex, so if I were to say 0, 1, and 2 as starting points, I would plug in a 0, and that would make 0 minus 3, so negative 3. If I plugged in a 1, I would get 1 squared minus 2 times 1, 2, minus 3. 1 minus 2 minus 3 is negative 4. And I'll have my 2. And when I plug my 2 in, I have 2 squared, which is 4. And then I have 2 times a negative 2, which is negative 4. And then I have then I just have a negative 3 constant at the end. So 4 minus 4 is 0, minus 3. My answer is going to be negative 3. And as you can see a pattern emerging here, it follows the same pattern we have here. And if I went one step further, if I went up to negative 1 and to positive 3, I would actually find that both of those go to 0 because those are our x-intercepts. So they should go to 0. And so it's nice to graph your key points to get the basic shape, but it's not a bad idea to make a table to validate that you actually did it right and make sure your other points are all correct.